Good morning. I'm New York City Council member Andy King, representing the 12th District in the borough of the Bronx. Today I stand with the president of the Vulcan Society, Regina Wilson, as well as Jerome Rice, president of the NAACP Co-op City branch. We are here today to bring awareness and reaction to the Fire Commissioner, Commissioner Grohn's 5-page report, which was released quietly on March 21st in response to our press conference back in February, as well as to a number of complaints and lawsuits that have been filed against the FDNY, against discrimination, prejudicial behavior, and more importantly, hazing. That behavior, which we denounced then, we will always continue to denounce, but we're here also today to say to the Commissioner, thank you for swift action to responding to all the activist work that was done to saying this behavior can no longer be tolerated. While we understand that hazing was part of the FDNY culture, it was never acceptable to be a part of that culture for anyone who had to endure it. For those minorities, and I won't even say minorities, but people of color who are part of the FDNY, who want to be part of the FDNY, for women who are part of the FDNY, the discrimination they went through, the hazing they went through was deplorable. When Brother Gordon Springs goes into a firehouse on his first day and is laid down on a bench, and firefighters think it's okay to place their genitals on his forehead, it's unacceptable. While those firefighters have been disciplined, the discipline must be much harder. That kind of behavior can never be tolerated. And we're talking about, at the end of the day, when you start terminating individuals for bad behavior, then the rest of us get it. So I'm grateful and thankful for the outline of this 5-pager that the Commission has submitted in on March 21st to tell all the companies in the city of New York, outlining detail what is hazing, outlining in detail everyone who's responsible for reporting, outlining in detail the agencies and investigative organizations that should be notified when you need to report in, for detailing that you can no longer turn a blind eye when you watch another firefighter get hazed, whether it's on company hours or off company hours. But equally important is that so many complaints that we received was about retaliation if you did complain. Well, this 5-pager right here outlines you cannot retaliate and what the punishment is for retaliation. So I am thankful and grateful for the Commissioner for responding to the cry and the work that has been done on behalf of all of us who are standing here, but we need to make sure that it's implemented. You know, we can put things on paper, but it has to be implemented. And how do we implement it? That means the battalion chiefs, the lieutenants, have to enforce it below. That means what? UFA, the uniformed firefighters, can't get in the way. They need to make sure that everyone's in compliance. And those who get in the way of compliance, no, we don't give you a slap on the wrist. No, we don't suspend you for a couple of days. No, we don't take away a few vacation days. No, we let you go. Because we need to send a clear message that this behavior will not be tolerated, and it starts with this report, with this 5-page of new policy for the fire department. Again, joined by the Vulcan Society, who's in court because of a prior lawsuit, and making sure that their members are protected, is President Regina Wilson, who will speak now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember King, for calling this press conference, which we feel is very, very important. What the department has done with this policy, we're very hopeful for it, but the only reason we could feel encouraged by it or feel that it is protecting us is by its implementation. If it is not implemented, nothing is going to be done. We've already had an anti-hazing policy that came out a few years ago, and if it was implemented properly, we would not have these problems that we have today. There is still ongoing hazing that happens in the department, and now the Department of Investigations has gotten involved in this. And we're hoping that more members go out and talk to the Department of Investigations and tell their story. It's important for their story to be told. It's important for just our livelihoods as firefighters to be able to feel protected by a department once we decide to become a New York City firefighter. If those things are not done, then we cannot come to work and not feel like we're in an environment that is free of harassment and free of hazing, and that our workplace is not safe for us to come to every day. So although we are very happy and very grateful that the department has made this step, it has to be constant, ongoing, and consistent messaging that's done in order for us to feel safe or feel like coming to the firehouse is a place that we can come to every day. So due to the fact that we're in the middle of a recruitment drive, this negativity of behavior in the firehouse can sometimes deter people from coming in. And we will hope that it wouldn't. We'll hope that the department in this implementation will encourage people to become New York City firefighters, and encourage women to come in, to encourage people of color, so that they know once they come into the firehouses they will not be discriminated against, they will not have their lives changed and altered in any way. So we're hoping very much that if they do their part, they'll have people that are willing to be able to serve their community, but also be in an environment that they can feel protected themselves as we protect New York. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. And she touched on it. It doesn't work unless we implement it. And it's designed, this press conference is designed to bring awareness that this is in effect, because as you mentioned that there's a strong recruitment drive to bring more people of color and women into the FDNY. But we want them to feel safe. We want them to feel confident they'll be protected. We want them to know that they'll be on an equal playing field when they enter into those doors, and that there will be no discrimination or hazing, which has been the culture in the past. So we're thankful. We're thankful again. And at this point, I'd like to bring one of our leading activists in the city of New York, an organization that's over 100 years old in America, President Jerome Rice of the NAACP Co-op City Branch.
Thank you, Councilman King. Thank you, Vocal Society, Madam President. You know, retaliation has already been in the books. The ground for retaliation from a civil rights perspective is termination. And so you got to ask yourself, why are we here today? April 4th, we celebrated 49 years of the assassination of Dr. King. And so why are we here today? This is an embarrassment. Now, while I respect the commissioner, the FDNY commissioner, for putting together a policy, let's be mindful that the stench of ignorance still goes through the department, the fire department. There are still things that they're doing that is unacceptable. And so we ask the fire commissioner to step it up and make sure that each commander adhere to these policies. Don't just put it in writing. Make sure that these policies are fully enforced. And so the NAACP Co-op City Branch is in full support of the Vocal Society and the direction of Councilman Andy King. Thank you.
So that being said, we want a clear understanding to everyone. We want a clear understanding to the commissioner that while we're grateful for the policy implementation, we want the public to know as well there's been new policy implementation here. So if you have a family member or a neighbor or a friend who's talked about, hey, I've been hazed, well, they can say, do you know that the commissioner offered up a new policy? You need to know about that policy, just in case it doesn't trickle down, because that has been the story of the past. It stopped. It never made its way down to the firehouses. We want to make sure that this new policy, this 5-pager, makes its way to all the firehouses in the city of New York, so people can be held accountable and be responsible in making sure that the fire department and firefighters' only responsibility when they wake up and walk into a firehouse is to be ready when that bell rings and they have to go out and serve New York, nothing more, nothing less. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, so how many pages was it before? It was 3 or 2?
It was only 2 pages.
It was only 2 pages. And can we talk just a little bit more about the difference, what it did not have before? I know we briefly touched on it, but if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, the difference in the 2 policies is there was never an outline and so people could see what exactly was considered hazing. And also in the old policy, it never said what would happen if you were caught hazing. It never said what the officer's responsibilities were, what they were supposed to do. It never implemented that you cannot haze or bully on or off duty. It never implemented that there's a possibility of termination. There's a possibility of being relocated if these things aren't happening. So there's a greater onus on officers to be able to not only just report it, but they have to manage the situation. So now they have to do their job.
And if someone witnesses it, it's also their responsibility? Is that how it is now?
Well, not as firefighters. They don't necessarily have to, but it's strongly encouraged. Officers are mandated reporters. They don't have a choice, but they always make the choice not to do it, or they give the senior person in the firehouse the responsibility to manage the house when it's not their job or responsibility to do it. It's the officers. So a lot of times they don't take responsibility. They let someone else in the firehouse take care of it.
So how is it being received in the firehouse so far, just in your observation?
Well, it's not very positive because it's telling them that they can no longer do the customs and traditions that they're used to doing in the firehouse. They feel like the job is going to hell. You know, gave a response from one of the chiefs. The job is not going to hell. So, and then they make jokes about it. So they say every little thing is hazing. Oh, you moved that paper across the table. Sure, that's not hazing. So if the message is not continuously given over and over again that this is a serious issue, then they're going to just pass it off as it's just another policy that's in the book. So we need to make sure that it's implemented and it's reinforced.
Anything you know, Councilman, about the investigation?
I just want to add that the mayor has an executive order. It's called Executive Order 16. And this is where any type of behavior, negative behavior within that department, you can call the mayor Executive Order 16 and they will take necessary action. That's throughout every city department, Mayor Executive Order 16. The problem is that why do you have to go to this length? I mean, we all adults here. We are in the business of saving lives, not saving each other's lives within that department.
You know, as we come to a wrap up, while I love firefighters and I have a few friends who are firefighters, I'll never forget the story of a firefighter who we grew up with in the neighborhood. He was the first and the only black firefighter in the neighborhood. And every time his truck came out, everyone chanted him because we were just so proud that one of us was able to be part of that system. And I think, you know, there's a sense of ignorance. You heard President Jerome talk about the stench of ignorance constantly existing, is because you're talking about a culture that was exclusive, a culture that was prejudicial, a culture that was discriminatory. So now if I've been running my house discriminating against the peons who walk up in here, and now you tell me I can't do that anymore, yeah, I'm gonna have some pushback. Because it's never about doing the right thing. It's about me continuing to have my own prejudicial and segregated ways. Because the people who are getting hurt the most, it's not white folks complaining about white firefighters, it's the black firefighters and the Hispanic firefighters, you know, who are the ones who are going through the real crisis when it comes to discrimination in the fire department. And if we were all playing on an equal field, then we wouldn't have to do extra recruitment to get people of color and women into the fire department. If we were playing on equal field, no one would be, you know, flying and fighting about this. But it's not the scenario. So anytime you're looking to change the culture, the people who've been running the house will always have a problem with it. You're taking that kind of power from them.
Do you know the latest on the DOI investigation?
No, they're just continuously happening. They are requesting any firefighter. Right now they were saying with 2 years or less, because they in some way think that it's just a recent issue that's been happening, but it's been happening since the conception of this department. But right now the DOI is asking any firefighter who would like to speak to them to call the DOI up.
And yours was the Vulcan Society's was settled already, that suit?
Our lawsuit is already settled, but we're in the portion of trying to get things that we asked for in the department settled right now. So although the lawsuit happened, we're still in the portion of rectifying a lot of it.
And Gordon Springs, his is still underway? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything else that's important?
I think we're pretty much good. Other than just saying to all our firefighters and our unions, we're asking them to help join to deliver the message to the members. because I do recall when reading when it first came out that when that there was a call to reach out to firefighters to come down to, the DOI was calling firefighters down to talk to them. You know, one of the unions was like, we're going to send you with union representation. Don't be afraid to go. If you haven't done anything wrong, what do you worry? What do you need union representation for? They're just asking you if you know anything. So, but at the end of the day, we're asking everybody to figure out how do we save our firehouse and be the better New York we know we can be. Thank you.
Can we just get two shots?